Jeez, it feels like it's been a while since I've done a game I love on this channel. Don't get me wrong, I found a lot of new favorites in the 7 or so years I've been doing this, but a lot of that's come from really scrounging around for video ideas. You know, digging to find weird stuff or trying to pull out some kind of hot take on something that might already be better known. The last time I did a game that was already one of my favorites was the Harvester video, the actual first review I ever did on this channel. For me, the cream rises to the top, and so I'd say most of my top 10s are like pretty popular to begin with. I hesitate to make a video on something like Chrono Trigger, where I try to make a case for why a game that's universally considered to be really good is in fact really good. I don't want to just reiterate what everybody else on this site has already said on a subject. But on the flip side, it's pretty lame not letting yourself talk about things you care about based on a murky metric like popularity. In particular, I felt a conspicuously Sonic-shaped hole lording over this channel. I'm such a little ride-or-die mark for the Blue Rat, yet somehow I've never done a Sonic video. But there's a reason for that, because Sonic fans have been in such a tizzy over the state of the franchise for decades now that the gladiatorial arena of internet discourse has long since stripped the little bastard down to the bone for talking points. Why bother trying to lop up the bone marrow at this point? Well, you know what? I don't make money off this stuff. I do this shit for fun. It seems a bit silly to impose arbitrary limitations on what I can and can't talk about on my goofy little YouTube channel. So what the hell am I fussing about anyway? Besides, if you're watching this video, chances are that you're also a big smelly Sonic fan that just wants to hear people talk about a game you already love, so maybe we can make this thing mutually beneficial, right?
What a mark!
Alright, I think Sonic Adventure 2 is a game that needs no introduction, so I'm not going to give it one. Instead, I want to talk a bit about the last time I tried to make this video, way back in 2019. I've mentioned this before, but the first video I was ever going to make on this channel was Sonic Adventure 2. I didn't care much for the script though, and instead of just doing a second draft like a good writer would, I tossed the whole thing out and slapped together the Harvester video instead. I still have that old script lying around, and I think it's pretty telling about where I was at the time that it opens up with me going, you know what, I want Sonic to be good again. You may remember that Sonic was in a pretty rough way back in 2019. The 2010s had started off well enough with Colors and Generations, but nobody really liked Lost World after that, and Rise of Lyric was such a disaster that it preemptively killed the Sonic Boom sub-franchise before it ever got a chance to catch on. By 2017, Sonic really needed a W, and Mania was that for sure, but it was a nostalgia-based spin-off made by a hotshot team of die-hard Sonic fans. The series itself was still a mess. In my eyes, Sonic Team's new game just needed to be Generations with new levels. I mean, fuck, the framework was already there, how could Sonic Forces fail? But in the end, they took that framework and built a whole lot of nothing on top of it, leading to a boring nothing game. The fact that it had been so publicly pantsed by Mania releasing 2 months earlier. Jesus man, it just broke my heart. Sometime after that was when fans started really paying attention to what's been dubbed the Mandate, which were a series of decisions from top brass on how Sonic's characters and world building should be portrayed. Stuff like Sonic can't be shown losing, humans can't be depicted, money can't be depicted in any form, and way more. All put out there probably in an attempt to clean up the series' image. This stuff was mostly quarantined to the post-Ken Penders lawsuit Archie comics until those were silently, tragically cancelled in 2017. But by 2019, fans had started noticing the Mandate weaseling their way into the rest of the franchise. Shadow got hit hard with these especially, like look at this little trivia thing from Mario and Sonic 2020. There's a rumor that Shadow was born on a space colony called the Ark, but much about him is shrouded in mystery. Motherfucker, we know more about Shadow at this point than we do about Sonic himself. Sonic's entire backstory is that he was born on Christmas Island. So, things were already looking pretty rough at the time, and then just to add insult to injury, I guess, we got slapped in the face with the trailer for the first Sonic movie. We made ugly CGI, living in a gangster's paradise. We got teeth and beady eyes, living in a gangster's paradise. All this is to say that when I was writing that old SA2 script, I was coping hard. It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing to be a Sonic fan in the face of all this nonsense. In times of great stress, we succumb to nostalgia. We look back on the good old days when things made sense and our job prospects weren't completely fucked. So of course I wanted to gas up a game I loved from my youth. And then I just didn't do it. I guess I felt that I just couldn't do it justice at the time. But let's look on ahead to 2026, and Sonic seems like he's in a pretty different place now. Like, I loved Sonic Frontiers, even if that game has its issues. Shadow Generations was a huge step up in quality from the original generations, let alone Forces.
The Mandate
Seem to be on their way out, and the movies actually managed to turn things around, even if I'm still not the biggest fan of them. Hell, even the series' more recent misfires haven't left behind the kind of stink they would have in the old days. And thanks to Sonic 3, Adventure 2 is kind of in vogue again. Imagine that, a whole new generation of kids getting introduced to Edgy the Hedgy and having their brain chemistry permanently altered for the worse like we all were back in the day. I'd say the state of things, Sonic-wise, is pretty solid at the moment. I haven't played SA2 since 2019, so with things being on the up and up for Sonic, I wonder, do I still feel the same way about one of my favorite games as I did back then, or was I simply blinded by nostalgia like a common shud? Well, let's find out.
The military's top-secret weapon, Project Shadow, was stolen from the military base located on the deserted island in the southern seas. This incident increased worldwide terrorist activities. Sonic the Hedgehog was arrested. The adventure for truth leads to the incidents that shock the entire world. The story takes our hero Sonic from the Earth and into outer space. Sonic Adventure 2, Hero Side Story. Farewell, Sonic. Forever.
So what's all this then? We've got 2 campaigns as opposed to Adventure 1's 6. Well, we still have 6 playable characters, just 3 playstyles evenly split across the 2 stories. Neat. Conventional wisdom says you want to start off the Sonic game with the Sonic story, which is definitely the intended way to play, but you can start off with the villain story if you're all crazy like that. I actually played through the game twice for this review. Originally, I was just going to do the GameCube version for the warm, fuzzy fifis, but I decided I wanted some better footage, so I did a second run through on the HD version, and there I did something I'd never usually do, which is starting with the dark story, in turn realizing why you shouldn't do that. For now, we'll all be good little boys, girls, and whatever, and start off on the hero side.
Sigma Alpha 2 heading due south over the city. We're en route. Everything's a go.
This is Control Tower. We have you on radar. Report cargo status of captured Hedgehog aboard. Over.
That's a 10-4. Cargo secured on board and... What?
Didn't copy.
Hedgehog is
Over.
gone. He's taken out everyone aboard and...
What's wrong?
What in the
Come here.
world?
Over.
Freeze! What do you think you're doing? Get that Hedgehog!
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like money better.
What the hell is this? Sonic the Hedgehog? Our role model? The man that taught us not to play inside washing machines? Is a fugitive of the law? Oh, my little heart can't take it. How could this be? No time to ponder the ramifications of all this. We have a city to escape.
Attention all units. Suspect seen.
Sonic crashes down into San Francisco and skateboards downhill, flipping off ramps, plowing into cars, all while this absolute belter is going off. Fucking awesome. It's always been awesome. Back when I was a kid, I don't think I'd ever heard a vocal song in the game outside of licensed tracks in NHL 2002, so this was mind-blowing stuff. The skateboarding sequence is over pretty quickly, but it's 2001 and extreme sports are the hype as they've ever been, so here comes the grind rails. They're probably SA2's biggest mechanical contribution to the series going forward, which is weird since they're basically just borrowed straight from Jet Set Radio. Anyway, this level is just fantastic. Such high energy, so many cool set pieces, tons of little interactables, such a great introduction to this game. Sonic controls a little different to how he did in SA1. I think he handled it a little more rigidly, though not necessarily in a bad way. Everybody remembers the end of this level when the big fuck-ass Terminator 2 truck shows up and starts running Sonic down. Terrifying stuff for a child. As an adult, I'm just thinking about how the military people seemingly didn't check to make sure this idiot had his Class 1, because he tries ramming the thing into an underpass and gets stopped dead in his tracks. You're over height, you dipshit, you're supposed to take the off-ramp. Afterwards, the sun falls right out of the sky and we get our first boss fight. Oh my god, I did
this. A jewel containing the ultimate power.
Oh, thank God. It's alright, everyone. Sonic's no criminal. The military just mistaken him for this mysterious evil hedgehog. He shows off his ability to warp around with the Chaos Emerald and fucks off, leaving Sonic alone to get surrounded by gun forces. And there we have it, a legendary introduction. Dare I say, the best intro to any Sonic game. Maybe Sonic CDs is more iconic, but you can't play an FMV. For all the shit I'm going to talk about SA2 going forward, nothing can ever take away the greatness of these first few minutes. Now, if you're paying attention to the glorious Comic Sans time cards before cutscenes, you'll notice that the next cutscene jumps back about an hour and a half before Sonic jumped out of the helicopter. We see Knuckles out here in a bit of a tizzy with new character Rouge the Bat over the Master Emerald. This isn't the shrine, so I guess the implication here is that Rouge managed to swipe the thing whole and drag it all the way out to the middle of this desert. All of a sudden, here comes Eggman, deciding to nab the Master Emerald for himself purely on a whim. Knuckles has none of this, so thinking on his feet, by Knuckles standards, he smashes the emerald to scatter the pieces like the Dragon Balls. Knuckles knows by now that he can put the thing back together easy, but geez, talk about sandbagging the previous game. Like, bro, Angel Island is crashing right this second. So we got our first taste of the treasure hunting levels, Wild Canyon, featuring some serious Sam first encounter type beats. The raps Knuckles gets for his levels are great, gloriously horrible lyrics though.
Wild Canyon fun, I gotta chase a bat, huh? Yeah, Rouge, she's sexy and smooth. A double-cross spot thief, that's out for my Jews, I'm feeling her in mysterious ways.
You can't really give Hunted P too much flack for it. According to him, he only had about a day to write all these. But this shit's exactly what you'd want out of a Sonic game anyway. Nobody's out here expecting Keep Your Head Up out of the Knuckles the Echidna treasure hunting levels. We can hang at Fat Boy's level. Overall, I like the new take on these levels. Instead of repurposing Sonic levels like they did in SA1, here Knuckles gets his own nice, open areas to play Marco Polo with the Emerald Shards in. They're just fun to run around in, you know? I love the introduction to Wild Canyon too, the way the giant wind tunnel flings Knuckles up topside with the camera flipping around to match. I think where these levels botch things is in how they tried to jerry-rig the Emerald Radar to work into SA2's new ranking system. In SA1, all 3 Emerald Radars were active right off the hop. Here you only get one at a time, meaning you've got to comb the entire area searching for just a single shard. It's like this because of the new hint monitors, which give you up to 3 clues towards finding the active emerald. The idea is that you get more points the quicker you find each shard, and using the hint monitors will dock you some. I like this in theory because tossing you one vague hint should reward map knowledge, but because of how these systems interact, the optimal strategy for getting the most points ends up being running around like an idiot and coming across emerald shards by pure luck. Then, because you've only got one radar active, you're often going to run right past a shard without realizing it was even in the room with you. So really the game is unintentionally going out of its way to fuck you over. Now, if you don't care about end-of-level rankings, this is all a moot point. The core gameplay loop here is still a lot of fun. This is just something that's particularly gotten on my nerves ever since I noticed it. It's like, oh damn, nice job finding Atlantis, buddy, but it's pretty lame that you had to triangulate his position based off those ancient wall carvings you found. I don't know about you, but that sounds like an E-rank effort to me, bitch. The next day we cut over to Tails, on his way to break Sonic out of Prison Island, Gun's meanest maximum security prison. These fuckers, right? No trial or anything, just straight into furry Alcatraz. I would have loved to see that trial go down. Sonic's lawyer would have had the easiest layup into a discrimination suit. It's like, so, officer, on what grounds were my client arrested? Ah, well, you know, all these damned hedgehogs look the same to me. Amy's being accosted by that big fucker Eggman, so Tails springs into action. Tails puts the tornado into mecha mode, and we get a quick little boss fight until Eggman gets bored and pisses off.
This time I'll let you go, but the next time we meet, you won't be so lucky.
Yeah, that's right, you better run, pussy-ass little bitch. Anyway, here's Prison Lane. Hey, look, we got a little Half-Life elevator. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it's an Akira reference. So let's get this out of the way. I don't like the mecha stages. I don't think anybody does. These are essentially the Gamma stages from SA1, just with the timer mechanic reworked into giving Tails score multipliers for locking onto multiple enemies at once. What kills these stages for me are the controls. Unlike Gamma, the mechs are slow and clunky. It sells the weight of the thing for sure, but it's the last thing you'd want in a platformer, let alone a Sonic game. Like, when Tails locks onto enemies, he starts taking super wide turns, and good fucking luck with that when you're on a tiny platform over a death pit.
Sonic!
If these stages played more like that G-Savior game, you know, like slap some treads in the tornado and let Tails go running and gunning, you know, kind of like in the last game, lumbering around waiting to lock onto enemies, it's fucking boring. And hats off to SA2 for making me somehow dislike a mecha. Me, the girl that bought Super Robot Wars 30 twice just to help move the needle. But hang on, why does Tails even need a mech? If you wanted to keep the shooting gameplay, you could have easily given Tails a laser gun or the little Mega Buster he'd get in Sonic Battle. Well, it's to keep parody with Eggman's gameplay. They wanted a playable Eggman in this game. Fair enough. Theoretically, you could slap a jetpack and a gun on him, but that's not really in Eggman's character. He's not really one to run around. Don't talk to me about Sonic 2, you know that doesn't count. You could keep him in his floating mobility scooter, sure, but I think that would make platforming feel awkward. Maybe have him send out a robot to do all the work for him? That's a very Eggman thing to do, but it'd take away from the idea of actually playing as Eggman. Ergo, Eggman gets a mech, and Tails has got to play just like him to keep everything nice and organized. An understandable compromise, just one that could have been done a bit differently. So Tails is off doing something, I don't know, while Amy finds Sonic's cell. The walls are plastered with all these creepy equations. Now, we all know who this cell used to belong to, but for now, let's focus on the fact that there's no toilet in here. Fuck, Sonic must have been pissing and shitting on the floor all night. Amy, of course, is totally unbothered by the smell. Hell, she probably loves it.
The reason I'm in here is because of that fake hedgehog.
You mean that black hedgehog?
Did you see it? Where is it now?
Jesus, Sonic, that's not nice. Just because you think he's copying you, that doesn't make him an it, you spiny little prick. Amy springs Sonic out of there with a keycard and we're off to Metal Harbor. So, I intentionally skipped over this earlier, but now I want to get into how Sonic's scoring system works. Sonic gets points off homing attack chains, but crucially what Sonic really wants to be doing is pulling off tricks. That means interacting with level gimmicks like hitting the ramps in City Escape, jumping through the hoops in Pyramid Cave, getting trick jumps off particular grind rails, etc. So, getting A ranks isn't just about beating the level fast, it's about styling on it, which will inevitably get you going faster anyway since you're playing good. I love this idea. Like, yeah, it seems like it'd be a no-brainer giving Sonic some mechanics to let him act like a goober in-game. There's shades of Devil May Cry here, even though SA2 dropped a month earlier. I'm actually shocked the later games never really built off this concept. I think the most they ever played around with it was in Sonic Rush with its trick button. Frontiers in particular needed something like this. How the hell do you give Sonic a whole-ass combat system and not even give him a taunt button? Like, fuck, that's his whole shtick for God's sake. But I digress. Metal Harbor is just fucking sick. We get the Lightspeed Dash here, which you don't have to charge up to use like an SA1 anymore, and the level ends with Sonic jumping onto a rocket and getting a quick run back with the skateboard. Great stuff. After that, we check back in with Shadow for this legendary cutscene, infamous for its shit sound mixing and the two characters talking over each other.
I found you, Faker!
Faker? I think you're the fake hedgehog around here. You're comparing yourself to me? Ha! You're not even good enough to be
I'll make you eat those words!
Actually, I was watching Varg Skeletor Joel's SA2 playthrough, and I noticed him reading some chat members' posts saying that this is an issue with the game running at 60 FPS in the ports. Which isn't true, the English voice acting isn't timed properly to match the cutscene, and it's always been like this.
偽物? フェイクは君の方じゃないのか? いや、フェイクと呼ぶにはレベルが違いすぎる。
There are issues with the port, don't get me wrong, something always fucks up when it comes to these things. I distinctly remember Blaze Hedgehog in his SA2 video talking about how the grind rail leaning mechanic was busted due to some tomfoolery with analog sensitivity. I actually installed a patch to fix this, but I quickly realized that I still didn't know how to use this mechanic effectively, so I don't get to show off the fix here. Also, something that drives me crazy about the HD version, there's a few cutscenes still letterboxed to 4:3, which is fine. They couldn't re-render the overlays they use for visual effects to work in widescreen, but the black bars don't reach all the way to the edge of the screen. You can see a bit of the screen peeking out from this tiny little line here. I'm sorry that you'll never unsee that now. Not really. The ensuing boss fight with Shadow ends in a draw, as all these rival fights do. Shadow definitely looks like he gassed first, though.
Shadow, what are you doing? Hurry and get back here right now before the island blows up with you on it!
Blows up?
Oh, son of a bitch! Green Forest then hits us with this all-time belter. I had Mega Collection back in the day, and I remember it had a trailer for SA2 that used this song, and it was the hype as shit. In talking about the music, SA2's soundtrack feels a lot more cinematic than other games in the series. Like, in SA1 for instance, every level has one specific theme. Speed Highway, be it popping up halfway through Sonic's story or being the climax of Tails' story, is always going to use the same Speed Highway music. SA2's level themes, on the other hand, they play into what's happening in the story at the moment, but the style of music also corresponds to each character, so it kind of gives off the effect of getting inside the player character's head. Almost literally in Knuckles' case.
This is Knuckles, and you have reached the death chamber.
Let's take this whole prison break sequence. Sonic busts out into Metal Harbor, the ska kicks in, and he skanks his way on out of there because he's Sonic, he doesn't give a fuck. But after we get the Shadow scene and he realizes, oh, the island is about to explode, I have to take this seriously now, the music ratchets up and gets really intense. It sells the current situation, but it's still a bitching rock track, it still reflects Sonic's attitude. Over in the Dark story, Shadow's in the same situation. He also needs to get the hell off the island before it blows, but on top of that, he's gotta rescue Rouge from the vault and get the Chaos Emeralds inside. So, we get his goth rock stylings in White Forest, and there's a similar urgency to it, but it's calmer, more robotic. Shadow's way more confident, he isn't nearly as worried about getting caught in the blast as Sonic is, who's probably just thinking fuck all the way out of there. They're using the music to tell the story, which, again, is something the games don't ever really do outside of, like, forces to a lesser extent. It's one of those cool things you don't realize much when you're a kid and you're just playing the game. Sonic and company escape the island just as it succumbs to a nasty case of explosions, and then we get a nice little breather, cutting over to Knuckles at Pumpkin Hill.
This place sure feels haunted. There's no time to lose. I have to hurry and find the Master Emerald.
SA2 has a lot of striking visuals, but Pumpkin Hill is something else, man. Such a cool level. Looking at where it is on the map, though, so if the city is based on San Francisco and this is off in a desert to the east, are we in, like, Sonic, Nevada right now? Is Sonic's version of Vegas just super fuck-off haunted? Anyway, we all know what happens next.
Look!
Oh, up there! That's on top of the hotel! Look at that! That's the wall!
Of course, Eggman blows up half the moon with a giant space laser. Say whatever you want about, oh, but the tides though, but nobody ever said shit when they blew up the moon in Dragon Ball twice. So, I think we're solid here. I think it's fair to say that Hero Side is pretty light on story. Sonic and company are all reactive characters and spend most of the game not really knowing what's going on any further than, well, we gotta stop that punk-ass Eggman again. They realize that they've gotta find a way to track him down, but the pigs suddenly show up and they all scatter. For everything I've said about the mech levels, I don't actually mind Mission Street that much. There's less platforming and more running and gunning, so it's got something of a pulse. Looking at these billboards, Tails has got $1 million bounty on his head, like, Jesus Christ. They're so mad about him kicking around these cop cars like they're defenseless puppies that Gun's out here carpet bombing the Golden Gate Bridge like it's fucking Nom. I hope Knuckles realizes how lucky he is that all he's got to deal with right now is scrounging around for his little emeralds. Right now he's off an aquatic mine. The water level. Just the gimmick of having to adjust the water levels to access different areas, it's a pain in the ass. Cool music though. But this leads to my favorite scene in the entire game, where Knuckles, after wandering around in the sewers for 11 hours straight, pops out of a manhole and bumblefucks his way right into the main plot. Man is completely oblivious to the fact that Eggman just blew up half the moon yesterday.
Hey guys, long time no see. I must have got lost in the mines.
It's actually absurd how useless Knuckles' subplot is here. Like, every adaptation of SA2 cuts or trims it down in some capacity. What a gobshite. And then Tails just fucking drives off, leaving Knuckles totally in the dark about anything that's happening, because he has to go flag down the president's limo. And it's a driving level, everybody. Where the hell did this come from? It's fun, don't get me wrong, but like, what are we doing here? The car control's a little weird, like its steering is a bit stiff while drifting is super loosey-goosey. But the highlight of this level is definitely bloodthirsty Tails out here playing Burnout, running cars off the road like a fucking maniac. Like, fuck, that guy was just trying to get to work. That one had kids in it, and that one, well, that guy was a drunk driver, he had it coming. I think that $1 million bounty might have been underselling it. This dude's about to put the insurance companies out of business. I'm sorry, fucking what? Yeah, and we also get a kart racer out of it. Why not? Never let it be said that Sonic Team didn't absolutely pack these games to the tits with stuff to do in them. Man, the kart racer, the mission modes, the Chao Garden. Oh, we'll get to the Chao Garden. Actually, the hell, I've already talked about most of the important gameplay stuff by now. Let's get into the mission modes a little bit. Every level has 5 different missions. The first is the basic story mission, then there's the 100 ring challenge. Simple enough, how fast can you get 100 rings in a level? Then there's the missing Chao mission, where you've got to track down a Chao hidden somewhere in the level. Then there's a timed version of each level, and finally there's the hard mode. The driving levels have separate missions too, like instead of finding the missing Chao, you have to avoid crashing into other cars.
Back to traffic school!
Can I book a do-over? In particular, I love the timed missions and speed stages and the hard mode and treasure stages. Having to hit everything perfectly to get through the speed stages in the time limit. It reminds me of Sonic R's puzzle boxy design, how you gotta plan out the perfect route to pick up all the Sonic tokens and or Chaos Emeralds while still coming in first place. And I love me some Sonic R. The treasure stage's hard modes are super interesting too. Basically, they do their damnedest to hide the emerald shards, and you'll have to figure out some bullshit to get your mitts on them. It's a bit let down by the fact that you can just go in, read all the hints on your first go, learn where everything is and how to get at them, then restart the level and pick up everything immediately to get the easy A rank. But in concept, they're awesome. Would you believe those missing Chao missions are a trick, though? See, all these missions require the endgame Mystic Melody upgrade to complete, so these are basically just here to lock off the last 2 missions of a level until you've beaten the bulk of the story. It's a bit lame, but it does make sense when you consider that the final 2 missions basically require you to have full upgrades. Speaking of Chao, what SA2 is probably best known for is the absurd time sink that is the Chao Garden. Ported straight over from SA1, you get some cute little critters to raise and train to go do races and fights and stuff. That's right, little guy. Get big and strong for mommy so we can get some serious motion off of Chao cockfighting. I cannot possibly delve into all the little intricacies of this stuff, but there's already a bunch of other videos on this topic, so you can just watch one of those instead. Something that got a bit messy in the transition from SA1 to SA2 is how you actually access the garden. Everyone remembers that in SA1, you had big open hubs to run around and explore in, so if you got some downtime, hey, why not go pop over the garden and drop off all the animals you picked up so you can upgrade your little buddies. SA2 does not have downtime. The action movie pacing and structure mean that the game can't support SA1 style hubs, so instead you've got to get over to the garden by opening these Chao boxes spread throughout the levels and pick up the key inside to warp there right after the level. It's a bit of an awkward compromise, because even though these boxes are technically optional, like, they really aren't. If you're at all invested in the Chao stuff, you're gonna want to be dropping off your animals and chaos drives after every level, and this messes up the pacing a bit. Imagine 1 second you have Shadow being all, "Grr, I'm going to kill the planet," blowing shit up, then suddenly he's out here playing with the little homies for like half an hour at a time. Maybe they should have had progression work like it would later on in Forces, where finishing a level bounces you back to the stage select. I do like SA2's roller coaster pacing though, so it's hard to say. But enough about long-winded digressions. Back in the plot, we get Teamu Bill Clinton FaceTiming negotiations with Eggman when Sonic and Tails show up, jump right into Slick Willie's limo, and trace Eggman's location. Absolutely cracked cutscenes. Sonic Team were out of their minds back in the day.
Mr. President, we're receiving an incoming signal from our agent.
Pretty please, can you give me a blowjob? So Eggman's hiding up on the Space Colony Ark. What do you mean Space Colony? These people are still using satellite TVs. Knuckles leads the gang to the ancient Nevada pyramids because he saw Eggman scurry off over there a few days ago.
I saw Eggman go inside the pyramid. And more importantly, I saw that Batgirl go inside with him as well.
Oh man, this dude is absolutely molding, like holy fuck. I guess they've all surmised that they can somehow get out to space from inside the pyramid. They are correct. I mean, I'd love to get all smarky and say, "Ooh, actually, Tails has his own rocket. We saw it in Sonic the Fighters. They could have just used that." But that thing inefficiently requires 8 out of the 7 Chaos Emeralds to work, and our heroes only have access to 1 at the moment, so clearly that's off the table. Fair play, you crafty bastards. Sand Ocean might be my most hated Tails level. I've talked about how locking onto stuff makes Tails inexplicably start taking super wide turns, and this is the level that makes you feel it.
Sonic!
Now, we all love to point out how silly it is that there's a pyramid located several hours outside of San Francisco.
So anyone know why there's a fucking pyramid in San Francisco?
Less often do I ever hear people talk about how it's a freaking ancient echidna pyramid. You can all shut up about how aliens built these things. We know now that they were really built by a bunch of funky anteaters. Luckily, up next we get Sonic's Pyramid Cave. It's such a cool level. You got all these weird, twisty hallways, and you're Indiana Jones sliding your way under these doors. Awesome. The music here uses a bit of that James Bond chord progression, giving it that sneaky secret agent vibe too. Two things that were really getting on my nerves at this point in both versions of the game I played: the homing attack and rail switching. Sometimes they just don't feel like working and end up flinging me off to my death. From what I understand based off Blaze Hedgehog's video, the homing attack and rail controls both got a bit borked sometime between the GameCube and HD ports. I've never played the Dreamcast version, so I can't speak to whether or not the game has just always been like this, but it makes some later parts of SA2 a fucking pain. Pyramid Cave leads to a scene where the gang comes across a locked door, and Knuckles has to go looking around for the keys because the others all decided to be pricks about it.
The door's locked. We need a key to get in there.
No problem. We can find it. Right, Knuckles?
What? Why do I have to find the key?
We're counting on you, buddy. The world's greatest treasure hunter.
Never let it be said that Sonic can't be really goddamn funny when it wants to be. I don't care much for Death Chamber, it's just a bit of a mess to navigate. Like, there's a few main corridors that lead you between the 3 sections of the map, but there's also these wall panels you can dig through to pop out into other areas. I just don't know about this one. But then we get my favorite boss in the game with King Boom Boo. This pusillanimous phantasm basically comes right the hell out of nowhere. There is no reason for this fight to be happening right now, but poor Knuckles still has to throw hands anyway. This fight makes great use of Knuckles' moveset, having you run up and punch the little ghost holding down this hourglass and scaling the walls to chase down the big guy's shadow. It's one of the more creative fights in the game for sure. It's also the only one that really lets you belt around at top speed, not something we'd get much of until the boost games with their running boss fights. I've got to mention that SA2's adaptations tend to imply that the pyramid, if it shows up, is artificial, created by Eggman. This doesn't seem to be the case here, so this man just decided to set up shop in a haunted pyramid because he's just like that, I guess. Now that I think about it, are these possibly the ghosts of the echidnas that built this pyramid in the first place? Oh geez, the lore runs deep in Sonic World. I question the decision to throw in another boss fight directly after this, with the same music even? It's all a bit weirdly paced. I feel like Knuckles' entire bit maybe should have come between Sand Ocean and Pyramid Cave, and leave this fight for after Sonic's level. Egg Golem itself is kind of whatever. It's not a super difficult boss or anything. I mean, it stomped my ass when I was a kid, but this shit ain't nothing to me nowadays. It kinda reminds me of the Robo SpongeBob fight from Battle for Bikini Bottom. I think it'd be massively improved if the Golem yelled out "Karate!" then launched its sound effects at you. The Golem gets murked, at least for now, and Sonic and company hop aboard this shockingly not Eggman-branded shuttle, like he stole it from NASA or something. It's not like he even needs this. We can see throughout the Dark story that he's been using a teleporter to get to the Ark and back. Maybe Shadow's like Dr. McCoy and he's all mad about teleporters. At the very least, this leads to a fun scene of Knuckles and Sonic going at it, as they are wont to do, and accidentally scattering the Emerald Shards out into space.
Is everyone alright? We should be landing soon.
The hatch doors are open. Don't sweat it, Knuckles. The only thing in the cargo bay are those Master Emeralds.
What do you mean, don't sweat it?
Right?
Land the shuttle and let me out.
We're gonna crash this thing if you keep that up. Oh no! Don't touch that lever!
Big Baby Knuckles fucks off to go get his emeralds back, while Sonic, Tails, and Amy discuss the Ark's history and go over the plan. According to Tails, the Ark was built over 50 years ago for scientific research, but was shut down over an accident, as these sorts of things usually go. The plan is to take this fake Chaos Emerald created by Tails and dump it into the Eclipse Cannon's power supply, which should reverse the energy polarity or whatever and blow the whole thing to Kingdom Come, easy. The Ark is an awesome, visually incredible location, but our first introduction to it is a Tails level, and it blows! Tails out into space if you hit these bombs on the walls. Seems like a silly thing to install in your space station. What in God's name are these people thinking? Hell, maybe the Ark really did just get shut down over space OSHA violations. How does this level go on for like 10 minutes? I'm also not big on getting sucker punched by these artificial chaos enemies hiding right behind the doors. Artificial chaos, you say? We'll come back around to that in a bit. Sort of. Next up is Meteor Herd, a titanic final level for Knuckles. Great music here, absolute nightmare on the 100 Ring Challenge. You like scrounging around a giant level for rings while at any moment you can get pelted by a meteor? Does that sound fun to you? Honestly, it's pretty fun otherwise, man, fuck that. Afterwards, Rouge shows up for one final duel over the Master Emerald. Now that I think about it, this is the first we've seen of her since our last meeting with Knuckles at the beginning of the game. If you're big into justice and refuse to play the dark story, you'd probably be wondering what the hell she's even doing in this game in the first place. The boss fight does something pretty cool. It takes place on the little scaffolding area from the last level, rather than some nondescript other spot on the arc. It's basically a quick little punch out, but the camera here is abysmal. 2 layers to fight on and no vertical camera controls? Come on, SA2, where's your Z targeting? The treasure hunters call it a draw after Rouge slips and nearly falls into the lava until Knuckles gets the quick save because Rouge has apparently forgotten that she can fucking fly. God, it would be so funny if she pointed it out in their ensuing little Sun bickering session.
Keep your hands to yourself. Don't touch me.
Is that how you say thanks to someone who just saved your life?
Saving my life. Don't think I owe you one. You just wanted to hold my hand, didn't you? That's why you saved me. You're such a creep.
I really wish we could have gotten more of these two in this game. They're so goddamn great together. While all this is going on, Sonic is about to pop the fake emerald into the cannon's power supply until he gets a message from Eggman over his radio. He tells Sonic that he's taken Amy hostage and he wants the Chaos Emerald in exchange for her safety. Fuck. This leads to probably the worst bastard Sonic level in the game. Ugh, crazy gadget. Hate it, hate it. I hate all the gravity gimmicks. I hate Eggman screaming at you to get your ass over here the entire level. I hate that the Lightspeed dash decides it just doesn't feel like working sometimes. Don't even get me started on the anti-gravity room at the end. Just an awful, awful experience all around. Jesus Christ. Luckily for slogging through all that crap, we get one of the coolest cutscenes in the game. Eggman's waving a piece at Amy's head, demanding Sonic to come over and place the emerald down in the middle of the room. But Eggman doesn't know about the fake emerald, probably, so Sonic and Tails try to get one over on him by handing over the decoy. Sonic places the fake emerald down, and...
Whoa! You thought you could trick me with that fake emerald, didn't you?
So, how did you know it wasn't the real one?
Tails! Because you just told me, Fox Boy.
Oh man, he just fucking plays them for dipshits. Well, time to die, Sonic. I wonder what Eggman would have done if they hadn't tried to pull a fast one. I mean, I guess he probably would have just killed them all anyway, so a bit of a moot point there. Anyway, luckily for us, witnessing the death of his top homie doesn't cause Tails to flip the fuck out and disappear for 6 months, because there's an old man over here that needs to learn.
Alright, no more romance, Tails.
Son of a bitch, why can't I use that? Of course, Sonic isn't actually dead, that's still a few years off. As Knuckles polishes off his completed emerald, Sonic warps in right out of nowhere. He explains that he tried to pull off Chaos Control with the fake emerald as a last-ditch resort, and shockingly it worked. It should be noted, Chaos Control is usually a teleport, but some games portray it almost interchangeably as a time stop. I guess it can probably just do both, but I love to imagine Sonic activating Chaos Control from inside the pod, only to realize he got the time stop and all he did was delay the inevitable. So with nothing left to lose, Sonic vows to shove the fake emerald right up that cannon's ass, leading him down to Final Rush. Such a cool level. Beautiful, gigantic, and the speed you can get going here on the grind rails is out of control. Bit of a tense one thanks to the damn homing attack and rail switching not always working here, but what an awesome final level for Sonic overall. Sonic manages to avoid slipping and burning up in the atmosphere just long enough to bump into Shadow, and the Hedgehogs square off for one last push towards the cannon. At this point, there's a sort of mutual respect formed between the two. Shadow acknowledging Sonic's tenacity and ability to use Chaos Control with the fake emerald, and Sonic, well, he's just happy to be here. As for the ensuing boss fight, I've honestly never been a fan of this one. Great music, great concept, but I've never really understood how the hell you're supposed to open up Shadow for attack, so I feel like most of this fight ends up being a whole lot of...
This is the ultimate. This is the ultimate.
I think I managed to hit him with the Lightspeed dash before, but hell if I can get it consistently. Fuck this boss fight, and fuck that cannon, because Sonic blows it right the hell up and the game's over. That's right, no loose ends, nothing left to do. Good night, everybody, thanks for playing. Oh, wait, what's this? Eggman's got a little tummy ache. Oh, no, he stole off with the emerald. Guess we'll need to find out what's going on by breaking on through to the other side. The dark side.
I'm about as useful as a football bat.